Hi, my name is Pablo, and if you're here for one of three reasons. One, you love Pokemon. Two, you're a big VGC fan. Or three, the algorithm brought you here for some reason. Regardless of why you're here, welcome to my channel. Something about myself, like a lot of people, I love Pokemon. No, seriously, I love Pokemon. Like, it's the thing people now use to reference me. You know, they're like, oh, you know who Pablo is? And they go, oh yeah, it's the guy who loves Pokemon. It's already happened a couple of times, actually. Now, I've played a grand majority of the mainline series games. I have a couple of the spin-off games too. I collect a couple of cards. I open daily my pocket packs, and I go on the go. See, I dive into Pokemon in all of its different facets. But if there's one angle to Pokemon that I haven't really dived into ever in my 30 years, it's been competitive Pokemon. Now, I am a VGC fan. I love to watch it, but I never had the energy to put myself into actually going compete. But that changed recently. See, after moving here to Europe, the first time I went to an official Pokemon event. I was a spectator at EUIC 2025 in London. And man, the energy and the people competing and wanting to go forward and watching the battles, it was amazing. And I thought I had to try this out. I had to compete at least once in my life. And so, now that I'm here in Paris, I thought, why not look for a local event? And so here's my journey to my very first local VGC competition. Take a look. So, as you may know, I'm a huge Pokemon fan, like huge, my entire life. And for all the years that I've played Pokemon, I've never competed, like officially competed in Pokemon tournaments. Largely because when I grew up in Colombia, when the VGC boom became something, there wasn't many events in Colombia, in Medellin in particular. And the ones that did have community were in Bogota. And so to travel to Bogota for a weekend was a bit too expensive, to be fair, during my late high school, college years. So I didn't have the money for that. But now I live in Paris, and now I make money. So I can compete, and there's more stuff here in Paris. So today, I'll be going to my first tournament, and I'll be competing in the first tournament. I'm actually nervous, primarily because I have a weird relationship with competing. I like to compete, but also hate to lose. So today I have an objective, which is to win just one round, right? I know my team is not the meta team. It's not a meta team at all, but I want to enjoy myself with my team and just have fun. I think there will be like 4 other persons playing and competing. So because of that, there won't be those many chances to maybe win, but I'm very happy to take on this challenge and to go into this. I don't think my life will be trying to compete very heavily into Pokemon, but now that I live in Europe and there's a bigger community out here, I think I'm going to try to attend a few more events here and there along the way, because it's been a dream for a long time, and I guess I have a bit more time and a bit more money to do so. So I'm off to my first competition. Merci. When I arrived to Extra Life, the cafe that was hosting the competition, I was actually nervous. One, I don't speak that much French and everybody speaks French, so I was just like thrown off. Also because it's the first time I'm doing it and I was just a bit shy. I didn't really know what to do. But everybody was super duper lovely and they helped me get ready and I gave in my team sheet and I was just, prepared. Now, I'm not going to dive into too much details. If you're like me who does not really know how the format for the 2025 season worked, I was participating both in a League Cup and a League Challenge. Basically, it's two different competitions with two different structures and they have two different benefits. League Cups give you more points to qualify to Worlds and League Challenges give you less points. Basically, League Cups are where people try to compete with their very good teams and League Challenges tend to be the places where people use their kind of bad teams. I had no idea I was doing both and I just participated in both. But to start off the day, what was the League Cup? So now the real question is, Pablo, how did you do? I smoked them. Sorry, I got smoked by everyone. I was not that good. But in order to explain why, I have to explain the team that I brought to this competition. Now, the format was Regulation G. I won't get into what regulations are or which Pokemon you can and cannot use. There's other people who have better deep dives into that. For now, what I can tell you is the team that I chose was non-meta, meaning that it was not a team which was either really common or really popular and has a lot of difficulties within the meta because the Pokemon in the meta are a bit stronger or easier to adapt to a lot of gameplay than what I chose. The reason I chose a non-meta team is because I'm one of those annoying people who don't like choosing what everybody else chooses and does. So I was like, I can figure out something that wins without doing the stronger Pokemon. But in the worlds of Wolfie Glick, if you want to win, you got to choose the best Pokemon. So what team did I ended up going with? Well, first off, in Regulation G, you can bring one restricted. And I based my entire team around this one restricted that I'm a big fan of, Eternatus. Now, I don't know what it is about Eternatus, maybe because it's such a goofy Pokemon in the sense that it's so big, it's so massive, you can't even use a Dynamax version of it. It's I don't know. I really like it. What I like the most about it is that it's super beefy in its stats. Crazy HP, crazy strong special attack, and pretty decent defensive special defense. So my idea was to run it in a way where it can last in the match. So Cosmic Power was the main threshold as to how I was planning to use Eternatus. Now, with Eternatus were several partner Pokemon that I thought would help it best survive and last long in the matches. These were Grimmsnarl, who is really good with walls. Also, my Grimmsnarl did not have a single attacking move, which was a very bold of my take, and also a bad decision that haunted me during the competition. Another good Pokemon that helped me was actually Clefable, thanks to its skill swap, the attack skill swap, and the fact that it has Unaware. I thought that Unaware would make sense to take away pressure and give it Unaware to Eternatus. It's a very interesting dynamic, but I think Skill Swap also was a fun move with Clefable to take away really cool abilities from other Pokemon without people kind of preparing for that. So that was also very fun. Another support Pokemon I got was Arcanine. Intimidate and good HP, but more than that, it also has Snarl. So I can burn Pokemon if I wanted to burn them, and I can also use Snarl to reduce their special attack. It was just another way to have a partner with Eternatus that would chip away to my opponents. The last two Pokemon that I had were just Pokemon that I think were really good because the dynamics of the current regulation was, helping these two Pokemon be relevant. One was Rillaboom because obviously grassy fields take away fields from Miraidon and the second terrain that Indeedee sets up. So I thought Rillaboom made a lot of sense. Also, I wanted to make it more pack a punch and hit hard than be anything else. So it's mostly offensive moves that I gave to it. And lastly, I brought in a Annihilate because I wanted to get rid of as many Incineroars as possible. The Intimidate drops actually raise Annihilate with Defiant, and it actually came in clutch many times. If you want to try to use this team, here is the rental code that you can see on the screen above. That way you can try it out for yourself, but you'll see why ultimately it was just not the best team for this competition. Now, before we talk about the rounds themselves and how I did, I want to talk to you guys today about today's sponsor.
It's me. I have a 9 to 5 job, so I'm sponsoring this video by paying all the equipment that I used to film this. Now, as you can imagine, I was super excited for my first ever official battle in a Pokemon competition, my first round. And who did I get paired with? Well, I got paired with this guy who had a Calyrex Shadow Rider team. Now, I had been using my team on Pokemon Showdown, and I thought, I know how to handle these, you know, these games against Calyrex Shadow Rider. I can play this. I only knocked out one Pokemon in 2 rounds. I got destroyed, man. I got obliterated. It was dreadful. I can't even recall the battle now. All I recall is I knocked out, I think, his Urshifu. It was just that bad. When I asked the person after the fact if they had played competitive Pokemon before, they said, yeah, I play a bit of competitive Pokemon. I was like, okay, what was your last result? It turns out the person was 8th place at EUYC, the same tournament that inspired me to even try to play competitive Pokemon. They got 8th place. Yeah, I lost to Theotim Maso, the player who lost to Wolfie Glick, the one who ended up winning the competition, in top cut. So, knocking out one of his Pokemon was actually a very good result for me. So I took it as a victory, but by that moment I was 0-1. Now, for round number 2, I was also paired with somebody who had lost their very first game. It turned out it was also their very first time playing VGC as well, just like me. They came with a Koraidon team. Now, Koraidon was hot at the moment because obviously the big win by Wolfie Glick at EUIC a couple of weeks earlier was like this big moment for Koraidon to, you know, be more popular out there. But the person didn't navigate the team the way you would want to navigate a team. And I guess the Sunlock with my type of Eternatus that actually had a Flamethrower was too much for his team, and somehow I pulled out the victory. That's right. The goal that I had to at least win 1 round, I accomplished it in round 2. And I was super stoked. I couldn't believe it. My team actually won a round. I won both battles, and I was 1-1 in my first ever VGC competition. What's better than winning 1 round? Winning 2 rounds. And round 3 was just so awesome because it showed me just how much emotions can run through a competition like VGC. So basically, it was against another Calyrex Shadow Rider team, and I was really upset because I was like, oh man, the first team that I faced against was Calyrex Shadow Rider, and that team obliterated me. This person had only 1 Pokemon that was like substantially different from the team that I lost that Theo team had. And so I thought, man, I'm going to get bashed in this competition, in this match. I'm gonna lose it. In the first game I lost, I actually did get outbeaten. I was like, I can't handle this team, it's too much. Now, for game number 2, I don't know what happened. And I think it's just that my opponent got a bit too confident. And with 1 bad, 2 bad, 3 bad moves that I was able to call out, I actually won game 2. So it brought us down to game 3. And what was so amazing about this game was somehow this game ended up being a 1-on-1 between Eternatus and Calyrex Shadow Rider. My Eternatus had +6 with Cosmic Power, so +6 defense, +6 special defense, and his Cali had +6 in special attack. Like, we were maxed out in our stats. And every time his Calyrex hit me, it was doing almost no damage, and I was recovering almost everything completely. My Eternatus held on perfectly in that matchup. And the game didn't end because I knocked out his Calyrex. It ended because they forfeited. They forfeited. And the reason why was because they ran out of PP. That's right, I PP stalled the Calyrex Shadow Rider. That doesn't sound right. No, well, yeah, no. What it turns out is because the Eternatus has the ability to pressure, my opponent's Calyrex remained without moves. Astral Barrage went down to 0 PP, and Draining Kiss was also heading towards that same direction with no way to actually hurt my Eternatus. And so I won. And for the second time in the day, I went 2-1. I mean, not the second time. I went 2-1 because I won for the second time of the day. I was just, even to this day, I'm surprised. It was amazing. I couldn't believe it. And what was better about it is the fact that I came back from losing the first match. And it was just so exciting. So much so, because now it turns out that I was only one win away from heading to top cut in my very first Pokemon VGC competition. But it didn't go that way, unfortunately. Now, for my last battle, you can actually go and watch the battle itself. See, Opalco, the person in charge of the competitions for this competition, actually records some matches and puts them online. And this match, unfortunately, you can watch it full on YouTube. But basically, the situation was I was paired with somebody with a Miraidon team, and in the first match, there was one moment, a pivotal moment, that I could have gone and I could have defeated my opponent. They protected their Urshifu, and I had thought that they were going to protect their Urshifu. So I thought I can double down and hit the Whimsicott. But then I overthought and I said, hey, if I'm as smart to think of this and I'm new to all this, like I'm new to playing at this, in-person level, maybe I think about it too. And so instead of going for the Whimsicott, I doubled down and went for the Urshifu. And I should have gone for the Whimsicott as my gut told me earlier, because it probably would have led me to a victory. But it didn't. I made the wrong call, he protected, and then from there the game went down, and I lost the match. The second game, you can watch it yourself. I'll put the link in the description. I just got snowballed out of control. I had no control in the match. In 5 minutes, my dream to make it a top cut on my first competition ended because I made a misplay. Now, what was funny was when I won my first game, I spoke to Theotim again, and he was like, oh, how'd it go? And I said, oh, I'm 1-1. And I think he was surprised. I think he was more surprised when I said I was 2-1 up in round 3, because I think he was like, there's no way that team, can even win, because my team was really, really bad. But there it was. After a nice 4 rounds, I ended my first ever VGC competition 2-2. 2 wins and 2 losses. But I had a great time. I had a wonderful time. It was absolutely awesome. Now, after the League Cup, there was a League Challenge where there was like extra games, and League Challenges are not as serious, but I played it anyways. I got destroyed. I think I just won like 1 round. I got beat up with a Terrapagos team, and I had 1 game where I missed a couple of hits. It was brutal, but it is what it is. But the challenge was fun too. But by that time I was exhausted, my mind was gone, and I can understand people who lose last rounds due to fatigue, because I was just really tired of playing so much Pokemon in one day. As a little token, I got a card, and I had each opponent that I played against sign it. So as you can see here, I had people sign this card one by one, as they either defeated me or I defeated them, and kept a little record in the back of my record of that day, as like a nice little reminder of my first time ever competing. And I think I'll keep on doing this every single time I go to a VGC event, because it's a nice little token to remember the opportunity to not only play against amazing Pokemon players, but also the chance to go out there and actually compete. For some final words, I'll let Pablo from that evening tell you how he felt about his day in his very first VGC competition. So that's the end. 2 wins, 2 losses in the first normal tournament. So got knocked out in that 4th one. I could have, there was an opportunity, but I missed out on it. And then the second mini tournament we had, 1 win, 2 losses, bit rough. The team is not there, obviously. It's definitely not a team. People had fun with it, but it's not there. But it was nice. This was a lot of fun. It sucks to lose. It's great to win. I love Pokemon. Until the next one. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on the next Poke Adventure.